Welcome back to another episode of the MX Endurance Podcast, where we look at everything that's been happening in the world of endurance sports, or more specifically triathlon. My name is Tim Ford, and I'm joined by the penultimate legend, the sexy shepherdess, the sexiest voice in triathlon, James Bale. Jimbo, welcome back to the podcast, mate.
How are you, mate? You all right?
It was a 50-50 whether you were coming back. You thought last week I've had enough of your shit, Tim. I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this, but you've done us all a favor. You're back again to do it all over.
Yeah, it was almost over, mate. It was almost over. But I'm back and I'm wearing a hat. I decided to wear a hat.
It's a beanie. It's a beanie, mate. Come on.
A beanie operates in the class of wear that is a hat. So
what race was it that you were at last year where you did what was it? It was Super League where you had the little hat on.
Where was that? Oh yeah,
Super League.
No, that was the Collins Cup. Collins Cup and Super League. No, it wasn't Collins Cup. It was Super League. I had the little
Collins Cup was the jacket. Super League was the hat.
That hat came about because it was such a hot day, and I'm such a bold man that I had to just go to the bar staff and ask them if they had a hat, and they had these little blue hats, so they gave me one. Still in the back of the car, mate, that is.
Oh, there we go. I love that you mentioned the fact that you have no hair on your head because as our YouTube listeners or viewers can see, I have got plenty of hair on my head, James Bale. How badly does it burn you, mate, that I'm in fact not a bald man like you thought I was?
Yeah, I really thought you were. And it was weird. The implications of that one mistake has now made you grow your hair just to prove that you're not. Well, there you go. So how are you, mate? How are you keeping?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good, mate. I am doing very well. I shaved my head for 10 years, and this is the first time in over a decade that I've not. And every time people are like, oh, we've just noticed you're growing your hair. We've not seen it before. I'm like, it's because my business partner and podcast partner accused me of being bald, and I wanted to prove a point to him. So this is like spite hair growing. That's the reason that I'm doing it. And I think that there is often not a better reason to do something than spite. But before we keep going about spite, James Bell, this podcast is the official podcast of MX Endurance, the world's premier endurance sports community created by four-time world champion Chris McCormack. Jimbo, I ask the question every week, and here we go again. Do I need to ask it, or can you just tell me what it is?
Well, it's obviously going to be the camp as we're hotting up and heading towards the camp, mate. The news around the World Championships is hotting up as well. So, it's going to be a once in a triathlete's lifetime opportunity to be up close and personal with this kind of event because, not everybody has got the capabilities and ability and desire to go to Kona during the Kona World Championship. So we've got this one-off World Championships in a different place in St. George in Utah, which is beautiful in itself. And, the website is live, the sign-ups are flooding in, and the canyons are still red and still beautiful. So come and ride through them with us.
I heard you say canyons, and I thought you were talking about the bikes. I'm like, I don't ride a canyon, mate. I ride a trek. Yeah, you asked how I was. No, good, mate. I don't know if you can see it. It's in the background, but I got my new bike computer it's one of those hammerheads arrived for me this week, so I got to take out my hammerhead.
Very interested to see what you think of that, mate. Because I would be tempted to go away from the Garmin if they're any good. How are they?
Again, looks really good.
This is a general conversation. They don't sponsor
general conversation. No, absolutely not. I'm probably a little technologically illiterate to fully utilize its skill set, but I'm pretty excited. I think you can put the course on, so I'm going to do that for a race and like have it, tell me how far I've got left and everything. I think that'd be pretty handy. But yeah, so far so good. It has a little fancy video that starts when you turn it on compared to the Garmin logo. Like it's a full-on computer screen. So although
it's more like
one thing I did notice. Well, it's a lot heavier. And when I was riding on the weekend with it, I noticed that I was like, what's going on with and it was so heavy that it was starting to weigh down the Garmin mount on the front of my bike. So I had to like put it up and tighten it to stop the thing from drooping all the time. But enough of that, mate. Enough of that silliness because we're going to start this week.
Though, mate? What's per kilogram? Come on. You're adding weight to an already weighty frame.
Are you talking about the Amonda SLR9 behind me, mate, is if anything but a weighty bicycle. It is probably one of the lightest in the world. Thank you very much. And I have plenty of watts to spare, James Bell. But we are going to start this week with a not so good topic, but I think it's important to get the negative stuff out of the way. And the reason that I wanted to keep following up on this is that we have reported on this story as it's been going, and that is about the fact that World Triathlon Executive Board member is suspended over issues around a Korean athlete's suicide. I got this summary from Triathlon today, and I'm going to go through the whole thing because there's a fair bit of stuff to get through. And for people who maybe don't remember, it's a very, very serious matter. Justin Sukwon Park, a member of World Triathlon's executive board and the Asia Triathlon president, has been suspended by World Triathlon for 2 years over the handling of allegations made by South Korean triathlete Choi Suk-hyun, who committed suicide on June 26, 2020, after years of alleged physical and verbal abuse by her coach and teammates. According to a release Triathlon's governing body sent out today, other officials were also suspended for 18 months, including Jae Kwon Lee, Korea Triathlon Federation's General Secretary, Woo Kyung-ki, Business Operations Manager of the KTF, and Yong-Hoo Jeon, Deputy Secretary General of the KTF, for violations of the World Triathlon Code of Ethics. When Choi committed suicide, Park was the president of the Korean Triathlon Federation in addition to his position with Asia Triathlon and on the World Triathlon Executive Board. So here's the statement from World Triathlon. The tribunal considered Mr. Park failed to ensure that the Korean Triathlon Federation immediately informed lead welfare officers at World Triathlon of any reported cases of harassment and abuse to happen in its federation. He also failed to ensure that the personal rights of individuals were protected, respected, and safeguarded. Mr. Park is also considered to have failed to act in accordance with his fiduciary duties of an office bearer, compliant with the spirit and letter of the law and recognizing of both the legal and moral duties of the role in accordance with the World Triathlon Code of Ethics. Considering the seriousness of the alleged harassment and abuse of Ms. Choi, the KTF's failure to inform World Triathlon of the matter until after Ms. Choi's death, and its failure to inform lead welfare officers of World Triathlon of the allegations at all, and given Mr. Park's close relationship with contacts with World Triathlon, and his failure to ensure that the KTF complied with its reporting obligation, either through its office or personally. He has been suspended for alleged violations of the World Triathlon Safeguarding Policy and Code of Ethics. James Bale. Not a great start to this week's podcast.
No, it's not good, is it? It's not good. I mean, it was a matter well worth investigating, and I'm glad that they've done that and not got to the bottom of it, but they've started to sort of pick apart the failures that have been taking place there. Because, when someone has got to that point, there's a series of stuff behind that, and safeguarding within sport is one of the most important things that we're all responsible for. So it's a sad story, mate, and a sad way to start this week's show. But
yeah, look, I think last year we reported on a number of cases of federations that were maybe having some issues, and this is, I think, at least the worst reported case. So I thought it was important when I saw this come up that as I said, we've sort of followed through the whole thing to get to the end of it and say that these are the results of it. I thought it was just important to get it in there. And I hope that, this is a lesson for those other people in positions of power to go, okay, there are obviously consequences. There were horrible consequences in this case, but for them, if they don't meet those duties, and because the thing that I know you hear me talk about this a lot in our world outside of podcasting, but those fiduciary duties are something that are incredibly serious. And it's not good, but it's important that this has been wrapped up, and hopefully we don't keep seeing stuff like this, because I'm basically a bit sick of reporting on cases of issues with federations and their athletes and their well-being and stuff. So hopefully we don't have to do that anymore, mate.
Yeah. Change is what we need, eh? Positive
Exactly.
change.
Well, let's have a positive change, because there was a race over the weekend, and we're going to talk about it, mate. That was Clash Miami 2022. Jimbo, you put this in the docs. I'm going to let you lead things, because I've actually watched a bit more of this race than you did. So you can give the wrap up from Jonathan Turner at Tri 24/7, and I'll sprinkle in some of my thoughts. How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good, mate. On the women's side, Ashleigh Gentle produced a stunning performance to register an emphatic victory at Clash Miami on Friday at a baking hot Homestead Miami Speedway. Just a week on from the frustration of having to miss out at the couples championship, the Australian was in a league of her own, setting record bike and run splits, as well as being the first woman to break 3 hours for the event. In the swim, Perez Sala opened up an early lead and gradually extended it to the point where she had an advantage of almost exactly a minute at T1. Gentle was out the water in second place, but Oliveira was right behind, and by the time they were out of transition, those places had swapped. On the bike, despite a gusty wind and the fact the bike section was on the road course on the inside of the speedway, everything had been going smoothly for Perez Sala as she extended her lead to over 1 minute 20 seconds. But the whole complexion of the race changed on lap 8 of 17 when she crashed after riding into cones rather than around them. It was a hard impact, and she had a road rash on her right shoulder and back, and though back on her feet quickly and attended to by medics, she was clearly in shock and didn't try to get back on the bike, instead being taken to the on-site medical centre. That left Gentle in the lead with an advantage of just under 10 seconds from Oliveira, who she'd overtaken on the third lap. But once in front, she looked smooth, riding her Scott Plasma 6 for the first time in a race. She started to put distance between herself and the rest, so much so that when she reached T2, she had smashed Charles Barkley's bike course record of 1:34.49, clocking a 1:33.04. That gave her what looked an unassailable lead of 1:37 from Oliveira, who jumped past both Sodaro and Pallant Brown in transition. On the run, there was more drama early on the run when Pallant Brown, who took on plenty of fluids in the closing laps of the bike, pulled up as the temperatures nudged 30 degrees Celsius, with humidity at 62%. Blimey. Initially, it looked like cramp, but it soon became obvious it was more serious, and she almost passed out. Thankfully, she was quickly attended to by the medics and was able to rehydrate and start the recovery process. But at the front, it could have hardly have been more comfortable for Gentle, who surged further and further clear to claim an impressive win. So the results were: first place, Ashleigh Gentle in 2:59.41. Second place, Pamela Oliveira in 3:07.50. Third place, Marja Sage Nielsen in 3:08.08. Thoughts, Tim Ford? Because you watched this, didn't you?
I watched it after the fact because it was a little bit early for me. I think it was like 1 a.m. Saturday morning, so no, I didn't catch the whole thing live. But absolute carnage, mate. That is how I would describe this. I'm very happy to see Ash Gentle do what I picked her for the win, and I'm really happy to see that she didn't just win; she destroyed the field. Like, she literally destroyed the field in this race. Emma Pallant Brown, when we had her on the show a few weeks ago, I talked about how I've seen her in Phuket, which is a very, very hot race too, and she always struggled. Like, so when it happened again, I was like, damn, I really hoped that Emma had sort of worked out ways to deal with the heat, and it looks like she hasn't. It was hideous to see, mate. Like, hideous. It wasn't good. And then the crash. This crash, I don't like to make fun of a person crashing or anything like that, but you could tell she spent too much time on Zwift, or whether it was just the head down trying to, gain a couple of watts. I'm not sure. What do they say? It's like 5 watts you save when your head's, I don't know what it is, but it's like she just looks up and there's this whole thing of cones and she's like, uh-oh. And then I think she hit maybe the timing box. It looked like the box that must be doing the timing, and she just went down so hard. Again,
was it reminiscent of Georgia Taylor Brown in Super League?
Absolutely not, mate.
No, much
worse. Much worse. Like,
okay,
I'll send you a link to watch it.
It wasn't a slow speed thing.
Mate, it's brutal to watch. Like, it's one of those ones where you go, oh my god! And she's wearing she had the big open back, and as she got up, you could just see she was covered in road rash. Like, it's not a pretty thing. But Ash Gentle, mate, I think we're seeing the start of what is going to be a year of domination for Ash Gentle as she goes to the distance that I believe she is best at. Who knows? Yeah. She could be even better at Ironman.
You picked her for the win, didn't you, bro? Hey?
I know I don't even think it's worth, like, because I didn't see it as this like outside chance. Like, I genuinely had no doubt in my mind that Ash Gentle was going to win this race. So it's like, yeah, I did, and she did exactly as I expected. Lucy Charles Barkley, one of the strongest riders in the field, she smashed her bike split last year. And you think Lucy, again, where Lucy was last year, I'm not sure. She faded really bad on the run behind Jodie Stimson. But again, mate, you want your races to have a lot of drama, and that certainly did. But before we get into the men's race, the broadcast was excellent, mate. The broadcast was great. It was fantastic. It was free. You want to talk about a contrast between this and the couples championship a week ago, which I didn't watch, but all reports were absolutely brutal. But I think this is the sort, and again, it was disappointing. There was only, I think that the peak I saw was like 5,000 people when I was watching it. We're watching it on Facebook, which again, I don't know, but it was excellent. Really, really, really excellent. So great racing, fantastic by Ash Gentle. I'm going to be excited to see her representing Australia at the Collins Cup. Team International at the Collins Cup this year. I think we can. I'm ready to make an early season call, mate, that Ashleigh Gentle will be representing Team International. I'm ready to commit to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad shout. I mean, look at what she just did. She's an incredible athlete, and like you say, I think the 70.3 distance really suits her and her skill set, and what she can achieve over that distance. Could be second to none. We'll see.
The men's race. Do you want me to go through this? You did such a good job on the women's race. I'm happy to.
I don't mind doing it again, mate. If you like, do you want me to do this again?
No, I'll do it because I'll skip some bits. So it's not the whole kit and caboodle.
You do your thing, bro.
So in the swim, we had Schomburg and Royal set the pace. There was a bigger field in the men's race compared to the women's race. There was 48 men compared to 18. Long looked to be one of the worst affected, and he would emerge from the water in 32nd. He was 2 minutes 33 adrift as Jonas Schomburg and Aaron Royal, fresh from his 100,000 at the couple championship, drilled the pace up front. If you watch it, I actually think they might have, like, again, they race ITU together, whether it's just that they were so equally matched, but it looked to me like they were working together. So I wonder whether, because I think it was a prize for first place, maybe they've been like, hey, let's team up and lock this down, or let's do what we can to get as big a gap as we can on these.
Yeah, they had bonuses for the fastest swim, fastest bike, fastest run, fastest transition. So, I mean, I love that about these races.
I saw Joe Skipper's podcast, Triathlon Mockery, on Instagram. They put up a clip of, I can't remember, one of the female pros doing an absolute mad dash out of T2 just to make sure, like, I'm talking like it looked like a 100-meter sprint, mate. It was phenomenal. And she gets out, she's like, whoo, but she got herself that $1,000. I do like those prizes. But anyway, so we had Royal led first out of the water before Schomburg dived in ahead of him for the second lap, and they stayed there. The duo managed to put a half a minute and upwards into all their rivals. Canute was closer to him in third. So that's what I'm talking about. Ben Canute, one of the best middle distance long course swimmers in the sport. And he's also a very good ITU athlete. Or he was a very good ITU athlete, world triathlon athlete. So these boys were moving. Then onto the bike. This was all about Long and Ditlev, who would cut through the field in spectacular style. Like Long, Ditlev was outside of the top 20 after T1, but the pair soon started to chop down that gap to the front of the race with a lead held by Canute. A 2-minute deficit was quickly below 60 seconds, and Long made the catch, passing through the aid station at the end of lap 13 out of 17. However, Canute stayed within range and limited Long's advantage to 23 seconds at T2, while Ditlev had dropped back slightly and was 1 minute, 1 second off the pace in third. Again, incredible riding from Sam Long to do that. Magnus is such a good bike rider. And then on the run, started with the fastest of the day, T2, 18 seconds for Canute. So he suddenly had the same time gap as he did at the start of the run, but ominously for his rivals, Long looked relaxed from the outset, a fact emphasized by his trademark interaction with fans. Perhaps surprisingly, Ditlev moved past Canute early on to emerge as a threat, but the heat appeared to get him on the fifth lap, and he suddenly went from 45 seconds adrift to more than 2 minutes. All the while, Long was judging the pace perfectly, keeping a constant cadence, and never looked like relinquishing his advantage. He would eventually cross the line, 151 to the good. Fellow American West came out of the pack to surge past Ditlev and Canute to take second, and there is special mention too for Germany's Andreas Dreitz, who recovered from a flat tire at the start of the bike, which left him at 41st to almost sneak into the top 10. He eventually came home in 11th. We can report, Jimbo, that Magnus Ditlev had gut issues. That's what was happening. He said he thought it was just pre-race nerves, and then he realized in the water that it maybe wasn't, and then he realized on the bike that it definitely wasn't. So he eventually DNF'd. But Sam Long, mate, I've seen the reports coming out that he said that he got called a duathlete by Jan Frodeno at the Collins Cup, and he took it personally, so he's gone away and learnt to swim. But great performance by Sam Long, mate.
Yeah, really great performance by Sam Long. But yeah, I want to touch on what you said about Magnus, because he did have stomach issues that were making him stop every sort of 500 meters once they hit on the run. So that's why he disappeared down through the fields quite so quickly. It wasn't a heat related blow up. But what I think he can take from that race is real confidence, and that he came off the bike and he went into second place past Ben Canute. I mean, before the gutty issues really took hold, that was a hell of a move by him, and I think it goes to show just how much he's got in his future. But yeah, Sam Long, man, what a performance! Like you say, he was waving and high fiving the crowd as he ran along. He looked in control. He looked happy. And I mean, getting called a duathlete is going to spur you on by Jan Frodeno, but
Jan Frodeno, I love
he hasn't learned to swim that well, but he's certainly improved his swim somewhat. But he's still got work to do on the swim, because imagine if he was up the front in the swim, his performance here would have been even more emphatic.
I saw Brad Colt put out a thing saying he reckons he'll be the first non-Norwegian to finish in St. George in May. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I disagree, but I disagree for maybe selfish reasons. I think he could well be. I think what
ahead
we're
of Jan?
seeing. Well, you never know, but I think Jan Frodeno will be. Look, what we're seeing from these performances and from how good Sam is and Jan Frodeno and Joe Skipper, and is that the race in St. George is going to be unbelievably competitive. That's what I'm taking away from it. It's very hard to pick who's going to do what.
But it doesn't stop us, does it? We still have a go
stop
at
us, no. But I'm reluctant to say that a Norwegian is going to win in St. George.
I'm also not convinced. I'm definitely not convinced.
I'm not convinced. So I don't want to go in there thinking, well, the Norwegians got it wrapped up and everyone else is scrapping is playing for scraps, because
I genuinely don't think that's the case, to be honest. I'm not saying they couldn't win, but I don't think it's as clear cut as that. I think there are 5 to 10 people I could see that if they won, I'd be like, okay, I'm not surprised by that.
Anyway, you didn't, after the end of your wrap, you didn't read out the finishing order.
I did not. And Sam Long in first place, 2:39.55. Second place, Jason West, 2:41.47. Third place, Ben Canute, 2:42.31. Now, I had never even heard of Jason West before this race, and I remember the result. I was like, who the fuck was that? But this is what we spoke about a lot last year, was these athletes that started to come up and surprise us with these seconds and thirds in these bigger name races. And suddenly you start paying Colin Chartier, perfect example. At the Collins Cup, somebody I'd literally never heard of before, and then suddenly was popping up at more races. So Jason West, mate, is a name that I'm going to be paying attention to after this result. Good on him.
I watched a bit of the men's race, and I like the bonuses they put out there.
Sorry,
making people
I'm not sure about that.
Thanks, Siri. No worries.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
It's not a podcast if Siri's not involved, mate. Like that's so many podcasts that happens.
She doesn't agree, but I like the bonuses they put out there, because like there was this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was absolutely pinning it for a lap of the run to get the fastest lap of the run bonus, and it was brilliant. He had a tracking camera following along, and he was just gunning it. He was doing like 4 minutes a mile or something just for a lap. It was unreal. Jesus. But I think having these little bonuses, making little elements of the race faster and more competitive, even if it's not for the overall, is quite a good move.
What do you think? Because I don't really remember what happened with Aaron Royal and Jonas Schomburg. I mean, Jonas Schomburg doesn't surprise me. We've seen him fade. In short course, he does this where he fades on the run. But Aaron Royal, like, he's won a lot of 70.3s. I'm surprised that he wasn't further up the field. Do we know if something happened?
Yeah, but he's not, though. Because did you see his pre-race post when someone had pointed out to him that he'd been given the number 1 for the race, and he put it on social media saying, I don't know why I've been given number 1. I don't know how this algorithm works. And he went through the list of other people below him. He was like, I've raced that guy twice. He's beaten me twice. I've raced this guy once. He's beaten me once. I've never raced this guy. And it was just like, he was saying, I don't understand why I've got number 1. So maybe he's not surprised he faded like he did.
Interesting. I guess when you got $100,000 in your back pocket,
taken out of him, mate.
Well, you got that $100,000 check in the back pocket, and you're thinking, I don't care about this one, to be honest. Let's just get that.
$100,000 check isn't very aero, is it? So he probably lost time on the bike.
Exactly. Now, the next race I want to talk about. Now, I didn't see this race, but I saw the video, and goddamn, I wish I saw this race because it looks cool, mate. It looks so cool, and I think this is what we've discussed a lot when we started talking about the arena games. This was what you were talking about, and I didn't realize that it already existed. Because this, mate, looks so good. So I got this from Jonathan Turner at Try 24/7, and that is Louis is the king of Levin in French start season style in front of a home crowd. It may have been indoors, but the stadium arena covert leave-in event featured a swimming pool and transition area inside a 200-meter athletics track on which the cycling and running legs took place. A succession of heats and then semi-finals narrowed it down to the final 12 contenders, with Louis the clear favourite, and not just with the fans. The margins were fine, though, in such a short format, lasting less than 10 minutes, and it started with a 150-metre swim, with Louis coming out of the water in second. Again, surprising. Vince Louis is one of the best swimmers in the sport. But he was soon in front on the bike and never relinquished that position. Coming out of T2 and starting the 1 kilometre run, it soon became clear it was a three-way battle with Spain's Gines Grau and Hungary's Songer Lehmann, keeping the pressure on Louis throughout. But a stinging kick on the final straight that Louis is known for gave him a fraction of a daylight on his 2 rivals and crossed the line in 9:33, just a second ahead of Grau. Lehmann was clear third ahead of Britain's Harry Leleu in fourth and Ireland's James Edgar in fifth. Germany's Nina Eim won the women's race. That race too was a thriller for the capacity crowd, with Belgian Jolien Vermeulen looking in control on the run. However, Eim powered past with 2 laps to go and then held off her compatriot Lisa Turch by 2 seconds for the victory. Vermeulen had to be content with third, while Britain's Iona Miller just missed out on the podium in fourth. It's such a cool event, said Eim afterwards. It's always fun to race here. I've missed it and hope to be back next year. I'm disappointed because I thought I did really well with all the foreign names and then I stumbled with the British name. So good on you, Tim.
Yeah. Mate, this looked cool as fuck, didn't it?
So cool.
It did. And this is
I
the
wanna
kind of
watch it.
stuff. Yeah, same. This is the kind of stuff that we want. I think it's the kind of stuff that Arena Games has got its niche, and I do like the inclusion of Zwift. I don't mind that, but I would love the Arena Games to have that final run around a track. And in my head, the fact that these sort of races in these arenas exist, where you've got a swimming pool in the middle, then you bike and run around the track, is fantastic. But mate, if my life depended on someone finishing a sprint finish for me at the end of a triathlon, Vince Louis would be the man.
100%. Hey, like not even a doubt in my mind. I'm genuinely surprised he got out of the water in second, because we know that he is such a good swimmer. But again, guys, if you haven't seen it, I'll maybe try to put a link in the show notes. I don't know if I can actually, but Google it, find it, because it looked cool, and it was a capacity crowd. The crowd was pumping, mate. Like it was
Mate,
awesome.
We missed crowds, didn't we, during all this rubbish with COVID? Eh?
I know. I'm watching the Drive to Survive F1 documentary at the moment. They're just up to, is it Silverstone, the UK Grand Prix?
I watched the first episode last night.
And they're saying how it's the first time they'd had a crowd at a Grand Prix in like 2 years or something at this race, capacity crowd at a Grand Prix. And that, like, they're just saying about how much of an impact those 140,000 people make on the drivers. I'm like, I get it. Like it's yeah, mate, this would have been, I'm genuinely, if I need to find out about this, because I want to go watch this. Even if it's in France next year, let's make it happen, Jimbo.
Yeah, man, let's go live. We do it live, man.
That would be so good. It looked epic. I genuinely, people can probably hear I'm gushing over it, but yeah, that sounds cool. On to the next thing, which I also think is cool. Got this from Sarah Wasner Flynn, Triathlete Magazine. It's just a quick one, but Gretch grabs gold again, this time in Beijing. Speaking of Kendall Gretch, Kendall Gretch added to her medal haul this week, but not in triathlon. Rather, the 29-year-old took home the gold in the 10-kilometer sit-in biathlon event at the Beijing Paralympics, just over 6 months after sprinting to gold in the para-triathlon wheelchair race in Tokyo. Gretch, who made history 4 years ago in Pyeongchang by winning the first US women's biathlon medal of any color at the Olympics or Paralympics, has been busy in Beijing. She earned a bronze medal in the women's sit-in biathlon sprint, placed fourth in long-distance sitting cross-country race, finished fifth in sprint sitting cross-country, won a silver medal in biathlon individual sit-in, and placed sixth in middle-distance cross-country. Just a few events, mate, not to mention the fact that she also won the gold in the para-triathlon. Yeah, pretty handy.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout, is it, eh? Going about it and getting those medals. I love this, and I'm pleased you included it in the show notes this week.
Well, again, like that sprint finish she had with Lauren Parker at the Paralympics was incredible, and I remember them saying when she wasn't in Abu Dhabi for the World Championship last year where Lauren won, it was because she was preparing for the Winter Olympics. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So the fact that she's gone away and done, like, how many athletes out there can go and win a gold in the Summer Olympics or Paralympics either, and then go do it at the Winter Olympics? I mean, I understand it's a different situation, but 6 months apart, mate, that is...
Yeah, man, it's not many. And like you say, that sprint finish with Lauren was something to behold, eh?
God, it's just so impressive. They're such impressive athletes. Yeah. So amazing. Absolutely deserves praise. Go give her some love on social media, MX listeners. This next one, Jimbo's got me pretty excited. And we'd heard about this a while ago, and I'm glad that it's out there publicly.
It's transpired, isn't it?
This is a race that I have a lot to talk about. That has, like, we love a bit of speculation, mate, and we've heard a few rumors and we've got a few things to talk about, and that is Oceanside 70.3 is set to see the return of Alistair Brownlee. This comes from Tri 24/7 Jonathan Turner, and as I said, he's making his return to racing at 70.3 Oceanside next month. The two-time Olympic champion went through what he termed as 3 months of hell, trying to make it to Tokyo for a three-peat bid last summer despite his ankle injury. But after his bid ended at WTCS Leeds in June, he underwent surgery on the ankle and has been steadily building up to race fitness. Late last year, he was able to get on his bike and complete the iconic Badlands gravel race in Spain, and then take in the British Gravel Championships. Now, though, the Yorkshire man, is it Yorkshire man or Yorkshire man?
Yorkshire.
So Yorkshire. The Yorkshire man is ready to return to elite triathlon competition with the full focus on long-distance racing in 2022. Oceanside on Saturday, April 12, will be designed to sharpen his readiness for the first big test of the year, the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in St. George. Again, I keep forgetting that Ali's racing it. Like, he's flown under the radar so much lately. Then in early June, Alistair is scheduled to take on Norwegian Christian Blumenfeld for the Sub-7 project in Germany. Then, of course, all roads will lead hopefully to an emotional return to Kona for his elite triathlon, with the first race there since 2019. So the Oceanside entry list means a stacked pro list for many upcoming races, and Oceanside is no different. Also registered is Lionel Sanders, Sam Long, David McNamee, Rudy Von Berg, Ben Canute, Clement Mignon, and Eric Lagerstrom. The women's entry list also has some serious potential, including Daniela Reif, Holly Lawrence, and two-time 21 Ruth Astle and Aussie Ash Gentle. North American stars Paula Finlay, Sky Moch, and Chelsea Sodaro are also on the entry list for April 2. Now, Jimbo, the first thing I want to talk about before we unpack this is, have you heard about any other athletes who might be racing?
I was about to ask you the same question.
Oceanside.
I was about to ask you the same question. Have you heard any other male athletes that might be racing in Oceanside on the male side?
Well, Tyler Mislachuk, we know, is making his debut at Oceanside 70.3.
Mislachuk will be there.
We've seen these World Triathlon athletes. Yeah, again, he's been training like a mad dog. We expect him to walk away with the win. But there was a moment last week where I said, "Hey, James, I've heard a whisper that Jan Frodeno might be racing Oceanside." And you said, "Tim, I've also heard this whisper."
Yeah, I mean, who knows whether we both got our whisper from the same place, but we certainly both got it separately, didn't we?
I don't know if it is from the same place, to be honest, because I don't think the person that gave it to me you even know. So,
okay. Well, that it's definitely not then. It's definitely not. Because okay. So I mean, the rumor is that this could be a very, very competitive race and a very competitive warm up for St George. Essentially, it'd be really good to see those names going up against each other. Because the person who gave me my whisper also said that if that's the case, they might go there as well, just to try and add a bit of spice to the start list.
I think I know who your whisper might be then. Okay. Okay. There's a lot that I get excited about with this. One of the big things is seeing Lionel Sanders, what he's going to do, because he has had this extended break since he started working with Mikel after his crazy year last year. And I'm really keen to see where he's at, because I have this feeling that he's going to come out as a new athlete. I'm really keen for that.
What was that guy in Game of Thrones who was like the King of Whisperers or something, or like
Littlefinger?
No, the other one,
or the eunuch.
Yeah. What was his name though? Can't remember.
Varys.
Was he called like the King of Whisperers or the King of Birds or something, or like
the Sparrows?
He was the guy that knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, my whisperer who gave me this information is along the similar lines. Just seems to know everything.
It does know everything, don't they? I definitely know who you're talking about now. So that okay, good. I'm glad I know who you're talking about. But again, mate, Dave McNamee, another name I'm excited to see. Rudy Von Berg. Yeah, there's so many good names. And then Daniela Reif coming back. Ash Gentle's going to win this, mate. I'm going to call it again right now. No doubt in my mind, Ash Gentle's going to walk away with this one, because I think she's absolutely red hot. And I think, as I said, she's really going to go up those PTO rankings very, very quickly, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to see Sky Munch have a good one, if I'm honest. I'd really like to see Sky go and take this race by the horns and have a good old race.
God, I love seeing these stacked start lists. So hey, I hope this is broadcast. Oceanside, is it Oceanside normally broadcast? I don't know.
Yeah, we should be able to see it. Yeah, there should be a feed.
We should have. We could have researched this before.
We could have done, but you'd think. I don't know. I want Ironman to be a bit more reactive, man. I want them to see start lists and think, yeah, we're going to broadcast this one because we've got a stacked start list, and not just be like, oh yeah, we don't broadcast that one, even though every fucking race, everybody's racing it. Because we need the sport to start being a bit more visible for people that want to see it. Otherwise, we're just going to get bored and wander off. Before you know it, we'll be doing a podcast on a different sport. You know, interpretive
figure skating or something. I said figure skating, you said ice dancing. Paula Finlay also is another athlete that when she's on, she's really on. So very, very keen for that. And then Daniela, again, maybe I saw that she's back training in Spain, Gran Canaria, one of the islands, I think. So maybe what we saw in Dubai was just a step on her way to, maybe she's timing her season a little bit differently to be ready for St George. I don't know, but I guess I'm never count Daniela Reif out, but I do in this race because I think Ash Journal's going to wipe the floor with everybody. So
yeah, I hope to see Daniela Reif back firing again. I'd like to see one more throw of the dice there.
Here's a question though, because if Jan Frodeno does race, we saw that battle that he had. I say battle. We saw him do a number on Lionel Sanders in Oceanside a few years ago, and it was that performance, I'm convinced, started Lionel down his path of self-sabotage. It's where he went vegan. He had that weird period where he suddenly he came second at Mont Tremblant behind, I'm having a massive blank right now. He's Canadian. I can see him. I can see his face. What is his name? Why can't he rides Ventum? He does the funny videos, mate, about how much
Rudy Von Berg?
Cody Beals. Cody
Beals.
Sorry, so he finished behind him, and it was that period where Lionel just sort of went haywire. And I swear, I don't know, but I swear it was because of he saw how big the gap was between him and Jan. If Jan comes out firing like I expect him to, because Jan doesn't race unless Jan can smash. What if he does beat Lionel by minutes again? And Lionel's like, are we like, because Lionel's taken this chance with the Norwegians thinking this is my path to success, and then we see Jan come out and beat him by 4 minutes or something, 5 minutes. What is that going to do to his confidence around this new direction that he's taken? I'm not criticizing. I'm genuinely curious because I think we all can see that that's a big thing that Lionel struggles with. When
was the last time Lionel Sanders raced, man? We haven't seen him race for ages.
Correct, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think
imagine
Chattanooga
if he came out and was just like a new entity.
Imagine if he beats Jan. Imagine the confidence that would give him.
You're coming at this from an angle of what if Jan comes and lays the smackdown? What if Lionel Sanders emerges like the Phoenix and just like goes,
how good would that be?
Shit out of the field.
You think as well, again, talking about his confidence, if he goes there and beats Jan, because we've always heard him, he's one of those athletes that sort of defers to Jan as like, oh, I can't beat him, blah, blah, blah. But let's say he does. Let's say he goes out there and, man, he'd be going into St. George. That would make him very high on my list of potential winners if he goes out and does a real number on Jan. So,
yeah.
Oh, mate, it's exciting. It's an exciting potential for that event. So I'm keen. Always, Oceanside's a great race. I'd love to go race it one day. It's definitely on my bucket list of.
What date is the Oceanside again?
I've got it here. It is on April 2nd.
April 2nd.
Saturday, April 2nd.
There you go. It's coming.
It's coming. It really is.
Wow.
Okay. There is, however, another race happening this weekend, mate, that also has quite a stacked field. I got this from Romy Louise von Schoenveld at Try Today, and that is Ironman 70.3 Lanzarote, one of the toughest races on the planet. It has attracted a large field of over 80 pros, among them some big names, both short distance and long distance talents. The biggest name or biggest surprise on the list is Britain's Olympic gold medalist Jessica Learmonth, who will race her first Ironman 70.3 this weekend. While France's Leo Berger, or the Shepherdess as Jimbo likes to call him, and Pierre Lecour, who I think raced Dubai. Did Pierre Lecour come third in Dubai? Is that, I think? Maybe. Both strong names on the short distance also decided they felt like going all out on a 70.3. Meanwhile, Ironman World Champion Anne Haug belongs to the established long course athletes and is considered one of the race favourites. In the men's race, on the other hand, it's hard to appoint one favourite for the win. So women's race. Well, Haug and Leonhardt, both strong runners, will give each other a hard time on the half marathon. Other race favourites are Britain's Lucy Buckingham, who is Lucy Hall, winner of 3 middle distance races in 2021, and Britain's Kat Matthews, who had the 4th fastest run at the Collins Cup and finished over 2 minutes quicker than Anne Haug in Slovakia. In the men's race, there are a few outspoken favourites for the winner or podium spot. There's no clear winner for that. The competition is strong and the field is big. Some names on the start list include Dave McNamee, who's also on the start list for Oceanside, so which one he'll do, I don't know. Florian Angert, Bart Arnott, Leon Chevalier, Carl Smith, who's been training with Jan Frodeno in Girona. I'm excited to see Carl race. Thor Bendix Manson, Boris Stein, James Teagle, and Michael Weiss.
Haven't seen David McNamee's name for a while. Be interesting to see what he can come up with.
Yeah, which is he going to do? I wonder if he's going to do this one or Oceanside. Maybe
Oceanside
both.
Would be good.
Maybe both. Yeah. Maybe he'll do both. Maybe he's trying to race himself into form. McNamee's. Again, we forget that he's had 2 third-place finishes in Kona? Is that right?
Yeah. Hell of an athlete.
Good athlete, mate. Another one that sort of flies under the radar. But I wanted to talk mostly about the women's race because there's a few things in this one that I am extremely excited for. Not mostly. One of them is Jess Learmonth making a 70.3 debut. How is that going to be? What do you think? What's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, she may just be in the mix and have a good race and, compete for stuff. But with Jess Learmonth, you've always got the chance that she comes out and she just absolutely dominates and starts a career of long course racing that is second to none, because she's that sort of athlete in my mind who there is every chance she just takes to this like a duck to water and dominates the long course scene from here on in, because she's fantastic, mate, and I'd love to see it.
I wonder, because we saw the impact that Taylor Knibb had on middle distance racing last year and that sort of took everybody by storm, and Jess Learmonth is, in my mind, she's a Taylor Knibb who can swim better. Like, she is possibly the best swimmer in short course racing. In fact, I'm pretty confident to say that she's probably the best short course swimmer in that there is. She is a beast on the bike, just like Taylor Knibb. And man, she doesn't look good running, but she can bloody run like the clappers too. So I think, yeah, mate, it has the potential to be very, very exciting. And
yeah, I mean, and also we can't look past Kat Matthews, who is, she's been training the house down. She's on form and coming into this race, using it to jump towards St. George. She's a hell of a runner, man. She's a hell of a runner, and she'll be in that mix. And I really think that she could bring something to the party here.
Well, I went through Kat and I looked at the Collins Cup thing to see Kat and Anne Haug, sort of how they compared last year. And I think Annie, who we consider one of the best runners in long course racing, was 30, 40 seconds ahead of Kat, but Kat finished like minutes ahead of Anne Haug. So I'm very keen to see Kat's performance. I think Kat's going to be right up there too. I think Kat could be very, very dangerous in this race. And then the other thing that is worth considering is that Lucy, was it Bartholomew? And is that her last name now? Did I get that right? Buckingham, Lucy Buckingham and Jess Learmonth swim together, because we know that Lucy Buckingham is a very, very good swimmer. And I think Lucy Charles Barclay was meant to be on the start list for this race at one point too, but I've heard more whispers that she might be injured. So, but imagine those three in the race. Imagine the swim pace. Those three together at the start of this race would be something, mate.
Yeah, man. It's. I hope we can watch this race as well. Please stream.
I don't like our chances, mate. I think the reception's pretty bad over there, isn't it? So
yeah, it would be difficult on the bike to because you're in and out of mountains and it's windy and all that stuff. And wind seems to stop Wi-Fi working. I don't know why, but it just does. It blows.
Away. So as the data's traveling, mate, the wind blows it and it goes off course. That's the issue.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I've got a lot of affection for the 70.3 and the full on Lanzarote, because it's a race I've done and I love it, and I'd love to be able to watch it. And these results, we'll be paying close attention to these results, won't we?
You've done Lanzarote. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What outfit did you wear when you raced?
Yeah. Well, I made a sterling choice and wore an all white tri-suit, mate. It was glorious. Glorious.
Any excuse to bring that up, I'm going to bring.
I don't know why I did that. I will berate myself forever. I don't know why I think did that.
I think in the back of your mind, you thought one day in the future I'm going to do a triathlon podcast, and I need to give my co-host a lot to talk about for a really long time.
I think back in those days, 2014, I was just making up numbers, and I thought, what, it's going to be really hot, white. Why not wear white? I didn't even think about the sartorial elegance of it, mate. I was just like, it's going to be white, and white's the choice. Keep the sun off me.
It's good stuff, mate. It's very good stuff. Much more to say about that. Some really good names in the men's race too. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm keen to see it. It's meant to be a very tough course. I think Carl Smith, again, as I sort of touched on, we saw him at the Collins Cup. He had the broken aero bar, so he raced with one aero bar. He's been training in Girona with Jan Frodeno, and I think that's, he's already a very, very good, talented athlete. We were trying to get him for, he was nearly racing the Arena Games last year, I think, that was Carl, wasn't it? So
yeah. Mate, it's a tough course. When you say it's meant to be a tough course, it is a tough course. It's fucking hard.
What's hard about it? Tell me.
You've got extreme amount of climbing on the bike, plus heat, plus wind. That's why they call it the sort of baby Kona, isn't it? Because it's just, I've never have I suffered that bad. I mean, yeah, Alpe d'Huez and Lanzarote are comparable in terms of suffering on the bike.
How much climbing is there?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I suffered in Lanzarote more because back then I was not as knowledgeable around nutrition or hydration, and I don't think I ate anything on the bike until about halfway when I was like, I'm really fucked. Oh, I've got a peanut bar, I'll eat that. Then I started feeling a bit better.
So let me up, because one of the things I saw in the MX group, thanks to our MX members, I think it was maybe Phil Jarvis or Ian Dickens who were posting about this, but Jess doesn't have a time trial bike for this race. They couldn't get her a titty bike in time for this, so she's going to be on a road bike.
She's going to be on the track, isn't she?
Yeah, Trek Amonda, I believe.
Amonda, yeah.
I guess, because I know she has the same one as me. Do you think that's going to be to her advantage if there is as much climbing as you've said?
I don't think it's going to be to her advantage, but I don't think it's going to make as much difference as any flat race would do. I don't think because if you can climb on a TT, but these climbs are long and draggy, and a good time trialist can put out a threshold effort up these climbs and just
doesn't sound that hard to me, mate. To be honest, the way you're talking about how much how hard it is.
I don't think a road bike is going to be to her benefit, but I don't think it's going to be to her detriment either. There are some very long descents where she might not be going quite as fast, but I would say that an athlete like Jess Leonhardt would eat up that bike ride on a road bike quite happily. Stick some clip-on aero bars there, mate, and make the right choice in terms of gear selection, and you're away.
Come on, what do you think? Who are you picking? Who's your pick, mate?
Oh, okay. So we're doing picks for this.
Oh, I decided on the spot. Don't sound surprised. I literally decided while you were speaking that I thought we should make a pick.
All right, then. I'm gonna pick Kat Matthews.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Who are you gonna pick? We're doing men as well. David McNamee.
Yeah. Okay.
Kat Matthews, David McNamee, all British lineup for the win on this one.
I'm gonna go Francis Leo Berger, just because he is, I guess, one of the patron saints of this podcast, because he is the source of your sexy shepherdess nickname.
He's the sexy shepherd.
he is the sexy shepherd. You're the sexy shepherdess. And in the women's race, just to be Carl Smith too, though. Carl Smith it's either one of those two. I think it's Carl Smith. Okay, I'm going to pick three: Carl Smith, Dave McNamee, and Leo Berger. But Ben Pierre Lecour, if he races, he races.
You're just picking everybody, are you? You're just picking everybody. That's all right.
I'm thinking out loud. There's a difference.
Casting your net far and wide,
Mr. Ford. I'm thinking out loud. So I was right on Leo Berger, Pierre Lecour. Bloody hell, this is harder than I thought. I'm going to assume Dave McNamee's not going to race it, so I'm going to put him out. I'm going to go Dave McNamee's going to Oceanside because he wants that battle. I could be completely wrong. So I'm going to go Carl Smith, Leo Berger, and Pierre Lecour. That's my three.
All right, so you're picking three for the men.
Yep.
How is that a thing? How do you pick three? Why not just
one,
pick
two,
the
three?
Winner?
The podium.
I'm picking the podium.
I'm picking the podium, mate.
Motherfucker.
Because I can't pick just one, so I'm hedging my bets. And that way, if any of them win, I say I pick the winner. It's very clever.
David McNamee wins in my mind, but if he's not racing, then I'm going to go for Leon Chevalier.
Good call.
I'm not going to pick three. I'm just going to pick the winner because I feel that it's cheating.
Okay, so, I'll pick the winner then. I'll pick the winner. I'm going to pick.
Winner?
Fuck, it's not easy, is it? Oh my god, this is really hard. Yeah, I'm going to go with Leo Berger. I'm not. I'm going to go with Carl Smith. Carl Smith. Have faith.
Carl Smith then.
And women's, I didn't pick a women's. Did I? I'm going to go with. You've picked Kat, so I don't want to pick Kat. Not that I don't think she's going to win. I just want to be different. I'm going Jess Learmonth.
Learmonth for the win. That would be cool.
I also have to acknowledge, I like to talk about when I get ticks right. I did very poorly in Miami, by the way. I did very poorly indeed.
Well, you picked Ashley Gentle, didn't you?
Yeah, for the women, but then the men's race. I picked Magnus, and I think I had... Who else was up there? Aaron Royal and Jonas Schoenberg, I think, or was it?
Yeah, you did badly on the rest of the podium, didn't you?
I did really badly on the men's race. So
my podium was good, man. Who did I pick? I picked Ditlev, Long, and Canute for the podium. I only missed out on Ditlev because he shat himself halfway around the corner.
Sorry, Magnus. We know you listen, mate. At least he wasn't in a white tracksuit, James. Love how I brought that back to Lanzarote. Yeah. One more thing, mate, and I found this and I put it in just for you. In fact, I've written just for James under the headline.
Yeah, man. I was expecting when I saw the headline of this, I thought it was going to be like dressed as a turnip or something.
Dirk Leonhardt sets the world record for the longest triathlon on ice. Also from Rumi Louise von Schoenveld at Try Today. Germany's world record hunter, Dirk Leonhardt, who is 47 years old, added a fifth world record to his Palmares, the third pronunciation. The world record of the longest triathlon on ice. In Frankfurt, Germany on March 14th, Leonhardt, a.k.a. the Iceman, covered a distance of 164.4 kilometers by skating 42 kilometers, cycling 80 kilometers with a mountain bike on a frozen track, and running 42 kilometers on that same track. Now, James, did you see the video I put up of myself trying to run in Norway on ice?
I did, you did.
This is all amusing. I was thinking about. I was thinking of this. I was like, how the fuck did you run 42 kilometers on ice? Because I could not run on ice
Yeah,
at all. It was
I was
impossible.
looking at your video and I was thinking, were you trying to run in normal running shoes? Do you own trail shoes?
No. I did, mate. I had 12 hours to pack my bag for Norway. Like, it was a whirlwind.
Why
trip.
Why don't you own a pair of trail shoes?
Because I don't run on trails.
Yeah, but of course you've got to have them just in case. But
I'll go ahead and order some. Would
order
trail
some
shoes go on ice?
Oh, you'd have a better job with trail shoes on ice than you would with your Mizuno fucking road shoes.
That's what I did wrong. The better one is I haven't put it up. There's a photo of me like sliding on the ice. Like I sort of got up a bit of speed and just jumped on it and slid. And I reckon I went like 15 meters. It was pretty epic, to be honest. So
nice.
Anyway, back to this. Leonhardt already achieved 4 world records before. The record for the fastest 100-meter run underwater. What? The fastest 100-meter run underwater. The record for the most countries visited by bike within 7 days. The record for longest non-stop stair walking.
I know that bike record is him cycling from country to country, but in my head I've got a vision of him just getting on and off a plane with his bike bag for 7 days.
Doesn't even unpack it.
Yeah, just gets one of those selfie, gets back on the next plane.
He's got one of those Brompton foldable bikes, so he just gets down, unfolds it, rides around the plane, gets back on. And the world record for the longest triathlon, 200 kilometer swim, 5,400 kilometer bike, 1,300 kilometer. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. How do you do that?
I don't know. I need to investigate that. I want to know what time period he did that over. Or whether that's just been his life. He considers his life a triathlon.
Whether these records are actually official, achieved and checked, is unclear though. I love the thought of going, yeah, I've got the world record for the longest triathlon. Oh, how far did you go? Oh,
fuck it. Yeah, who knows? 350k on the swim.
5,500 kilometers.
It's like talking to my 5-year-old son. It's like, how far do you want to ride? 1 billion miles. All right.
1 billion kilometers. 5,400 kilometer bike, 1,300 kilometer run. Amazing. Jesus. The Iceman is serious. In order to cover the distance of 80 kilometers of cycling, Leonhardt made use of a bike with special spike tires that would help him have a better grip on the ice. Leonhardt didn't only pull off the longest triathlon on ice to push his ego. He also raised funds for a children's hospice. Okay, that puts a bit of a
good work. Anything for charity is good. And
sweating.
I mean, we're certainly not undermining his achievements, and I'm sure he has done those things. I'm going to do some. I want to do some research on that longest triathlon where he did.
I want to get him on the podcast, mate. I want to talk about this 5,500 kilometer bike.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Did you see? The RAM, the Race Across America.
I do.
Yeah. Did you see the woman who won it? I've started a conversation I don't know the details of, but
I didn't know.
It was won. The overall was won by a 52-year-old woman. The last race, and she was quite impressive.
This is a good segue into something else. I saw that Leander Cave, former Ironman World Champion Leander Cave, was on Breakfast with Bob before Clash Miami last weekend, and she was saying that she's doing Ultraman.
Cool.
One of these ultra triathlons. I think, if that's right. I saw it briefly, but how cool's that?
Yeah, man, I love the ultra stuff. I'm waiting. I'm frustratingly waiting for this ankle to allow me to train again, because every time I try, it completely derails me. But I'm really keen on doing some proper ultra running over the next few years. Getting out in it and doing some like off-road stuff. That's my next move, because why not do that when you've just bought yourself the most expensive time trial bike you've ever owned? Is sack it all off and do some ultra trail.
Can I tell you a time trial triathlon story that's happened to me this week? So again, for video watchers, there's no brand new speed concept behind me. That is because I told you this. I had to order a new chainring because it came with a 48 tooth and I needed a 54. And SRAM why is the power meter built into the chainring? Why is this a thing? So now I had to buy some brand new 48 tooth Quark SRAM Red chainring thing came with my new bike. I had to buy a whole new one. And again, just because why not? A whole new front derailleur, because the front derailleur that came with the bike doesn't work or is too small or too big for the 54 tooth chainring. So I had to buy a new front derailleur and a new chainring, $1,700, mate.
Surely you can sell on the existing, can't you? And make it recoup a little bit.
I was like, this fucking bike, it's just like, again, I got the ceramic speed pulley because I'm a wanker and I love it. And then it's like, fuck. So
I love the thought of you turning up on a 48 though. That would make my
cadence would be really good, mate. Cadence would be really good, especially with my short cranks. Anyway, I'd also like to confirm that in fact last week's quote from Lionel Sanders was not a quote by Lionel Sanders. You fucked up. So this week, do you want to get it? Do you want to have a clean run at it, mate?
As Lionel Sanders always says, whenever I'm with him, welcome to the down low on the PTO. Laura Philipp dethrones Lucy Charles in PTO World Ranking and Reef is down to third. This is taken from Romy Louise von Schwuveld at Try Today. And we're just going to have a quick look at the rankings. New year, new chances. And Laura Philipp grabbed those chances during last week's Ironman 70.3 to buy as she ran to a big win and a new record. Her massive victory and big advantage to the number 2, Daniela Ryf, saw Philipp move up 2 places in the PTO World Rankings. Ryf, who was in second position before, moved down to third, while Lucy Charles, who used to lead the list, now settles for second. So, mate, we've had some ranking changes, and I love it when rankings change. And so in first place currently is Laura Philipp on 108.48 points. Second place, Lucy Charles Barkley on 107.65. And third place, Daniela Ryf on 107.7. Then it goes Taylor Knibb, Anne Haug, Emma Pallant-Brown, Skye Monch, Jenny Metzler, Kat Matthews, and Paula Findlay rounding out the top 10. I love it when the rankings change because of things that are taking place around us. And I love having this ranking board that is, sort of live and organic and shows when athletes are having ups and downs. But you put this in there, mate. What was your raison d'etre for putting this in there?
I think we talked. I spoke a lot about how fucking impressed I was by Laura Phillips' performance in Dubai, and the fact that, like you sort of say, the fact that she's rewarded for that. And I thought it was interesting because I've seen this week a few Australian triathletes, Steve McKenna, Tim Van Berkel, were both, and Sam Appleton were talking yet again. I'm not trying to say it negative. They were once again talking about the fact that a lot of races in Australia seem to be almost being punished for points. And they're not getting the rankings or the same points. I think they were saying that one of them, that you would have had to break a world record to break even on the course. Like you would have had to race like a 3:29 or something, whatever it was, to even just get 100 points of that race. So I think, though, that this to me is a situation where the points work, because I would say at the moment, Laura Philipp probably is the world number 1 athlete, not based on the fact that she's necessarily beat Lucy Charles Barkley, but because she is winning and racing at the moment. And it's not just, I understand it's not just about Dubai, it's about her other races. Like that 115.61 points from Ironman Finland. I mean, that to me seems a little, I'd be curious about how you could earn that many points. Like I think that's a bit weird to me, but it's, mate, she's a former athlete and she's somebody that I have not really been paying that much of attention to. And I regret that because I'm paying a lot of attention to Laura Philipp. And, we saw this happen last year where Teresa Adams was ranked number 1 ahead of Danielle Ryf, and everyone's like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. But this is a change where I'm like, no, I get it. I think this to me sort of shows that point system working.
Yeah, totally. And, the algorithm has come up in for a lot of criticism since it's been around. But, they're fine-tuning it as they go. It's not a case of roll it out, this is exactly what it is and what it does. They're looking at what works, what doesn't. And they are going to be making changes and fine-tuning how they do things as the season rolls on. So, yeah, certainly a well-deserved world number 1 placing for Laura Philipp at the moment. You look like you want to say something.
I also saw Daniel Beckergaard went up in the rankings. And I understand that the Miami results the points haven't come through for that. But I think, Daniel Beckergaard went up He's now fourth behind
Yeah,
Lionel, but
I was
ahead
just
of
going to
Sam.
run through the men's. On the first place in the men's, you've got Gustav Iden on 109.62. In second place, Jan Frodeno on 102.82. Third place, Lionel Sanders in 100.89. And then it goes Daniel Beckergaard, who has moved up to fourth, Sam Long in fifth, Patrick Lang, Joe Skipper, Ben Canute, Florian Anger, and Rudy Vonberg in 10th. So not quite as much movement on the men's, but I think as this month rolls on with 70.3 Lanzarote, Oceanside, and then rolling into St. George early May, we're going to see movement and we're going to see change because, those races are looking stacked and they're going to have implications on the PTO rankings.
I'm just looking at these rankings and thinking that there's 3 Americans. There's only 1 British athlete, Joe Skipper. I reckon that there's probably going to be a lot of changes in that top 10 in the next 6 to 12 months. I think we're going to see a lot of names up. I think we're probably going to see some more Norwegian names up there, or another Norwegian name up there. I think we're going to see some more British names up there, namely Alistair Brownlee. And yeah, mate, it's like I said, I understand the criticism, but I really like this as a talking point. I really like paying attention. I'm at the point now where after a race, I'm actually excited to see the points and how they get. Like I check and I'm like, damn it, they haven't done the AIT yet. Damn it, come on, I want to see the points. I seen that there was another account that where what they're saying is they're trying to categorize the races and give an idea of what the AIT, the estimated ideal time, should be before the race, so the pros know what to aim for. And I think that's right. But again, all I wanted to talk about with this was we've got a new world number one. I think Laura Philipp deserves a lot more praise than she's getting at the moment, considering she broke that world record. She is number one, and I think more people need to be talking about her. And I think it's an example of the rankings reflecting the current state of the sport. So, it's exciting, mate.
Without question, man. And April's going to be an exciting month for racing.
April, May
is coming.
Mate, who were we talking to recently? And it was like, no, I think it was Joe on that video that Joe. Actually, a couple of things. Joe Skipper did an interview with IM Talk this week, last week. You should, what's going on? You should absolutely listen to it because he talks about how he's one of Ali Brownlee's sub-7 paces. And he was saying that Ali did a session where he rode 52 kilometers an hour and then got off the bike and ran 30 kilometers at a 2:20 marathon pace. So Ali Brownlee is coming in hot. I reckon that's pretty exciting. And then he does a video where he talks about the fact that, I can't even remember what I was going to go with this. What was I saying?
Joe Skipper.
About Joe Skipper, St. George. I can't even remember, mate. It was something good, whatever it was. Watch the videos. The PTO video they did with Joe Skipper this week is excellent.
It is very good.
Really
I just
inspiring.
finished watching it before we started recording. It's really good, and how he talks about wanting to be. He's going there to win. He's not going there to mess about. So watch Joe Skipper. He's a man on the rise. Absolutely.
And again, talking about what Ali's doing, mate, if Ali Brownlee works this out, it could be
the only criticism I've got of Joe really is his eyes. He's got very fatigued looking eyes. They're always looking
He was in the middle of a training camp, mate. He was over in Malaga doing a training.
He just needs
trains
to
like find
a way to anti-fatigue his eyes.
Oh, I know what you're doing there. I get that little. I got that little nod. James Bell, we're at the part of the show where we get some plugs out of the way. And the plug that we always like to give is for MX Endurance Podcast membership. Guys, we get the messages. We see people saying that we're your favorite triathlon podcast or we're a triathlon podcast that you tolerate. And we love the messages. But what we love even more is to see those MX Endurance Podcast memberships come through. We use the resources or the money that we get from those memberships to put towards the podcast. That's why we do it as a video now. It's why we're going to St. George, all those sort of stuff. So if you like the show, you want more, you want access to member benefits, you get a free hat when you get the pod. You get one of the MX Endurance hats. You get that included in the membership. You get the bonus monthly show we would do with Chris, which we haven't done this month because we've been traveling. I'll get you a couple of hats if you like. Cover up that bald head. Partner discounts, access to the community, a whole suite. You can contribute to the podcast if you like. Whatever it is, help support the show. It's $3.40 a month. If you sign up for the annual membership and you just get all the episodes we've done in the past, there's like 22 of them or something at the moment. They're all pretty evergreen and all the ones we do in the future. So head to mxendurance.com/podcast, sign up, come and get involved. Tell us what we say that you like. Tell us what we get wrong. We love it all. Be part of the community. James, if they want to know other things, what do they need to do?
If you want to find out more about MX Endurance, head to mxendurance.com or search MX Endurance on Facebook or at MX Endurance on Twitter or Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram, or you can follow Tim at T414 on Instagram. Please jump onto iTunes, give the show a review. You can do it in the podcast app. It really helps us out. Plus, it's super easy. If you like what we're doing, help us grow the podcast. Tell a friend. If you've got any suggestions, comments, or criticisms, send an email to podcast@mxendurance.com. Done.
Did Lanzarote talk get the guts going, mate? The memories, the muscle memory comes back just from talking about Lanzarote, and your guts go. There you go. So, that comes through. I don't know whether people will be able to listen, but that was fun for me. Jimbo, a pleasure as always. We'll be back next week to talk about all the stuff that we talked about this week, probably that's transpired. But until then, mate, thank you very much. Talk to you next time.
Take care.